Hello, everyone. It's Mark here again. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. This is the best bit of the gig for me because I get to introduce you to one of our full members. So I'm delighted that David Diamond has joined me today. David, thank you for joining me.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's great to be here. I would
Uh,
like to just change my name in your records to David J. Diamond because there's another David Diamond uh, from Canada in the same field, and we often get confused. So
okay, so
I'll go by David J. Diamond.
I've just changed your name in your little window there, so it's clear. There we go. Uh,
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much for being one of our full members. As you know, we're entirely member funded, and that makes it possible for us to manage the LinkedIn groups, host the events, and donate a bit of that revenue as well when we get the chance. So it's very much appreciated. Thank you. So before we dive in, and I'm going to create your fantasy cultural year in a moment. Before we dive in, perhaps you'd like to say hi to everyone and tell us where you are and the work you're doing and plans for 2025, perhaps. It's
Sure.
all yours, David.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I am calling you from New York City, Manhattan, where I live, and my work has been mainly involved with putting together programming and coaching for professionals in the theater and the performing arts. So my main project through La Mama Theater is an international symposium for theater directors and a playwright retreat and some other residency programs that take place at La Mama Umbria International in Spoleto, Italy. Last summer was our 25th year, and I've been doing it since the beginning. And so that's been a great joy of my life to work on that project. In addition, I'm involved with a group called Theater Without Borders, where we produced conferences such as Acting Together on the World Stage, Theater and Peace Building in Conflict Zones. So I'm very interested in activist in international theater and trying to use theater as a mechanism to deal with conflict and the stress that comes along with, um, you know, people who've been through conflict or in conflict, and also to use theater as a way of creating an atmosphere of shared humanity and care for each other. I also have a business that is career coaching for theater artists, which involves trying to help artists, particularly who are stuck or having trouble figuring out how am I going to have a life in this business and how am I going to make a living. So I work with a variety of artists from very early career students in several theater programs at universities around the country, and then more experienced artists who are looking to, reach the next level of achievement in their creative lives.
Sounds great. From on behalf of all of those that you've helped, then thank you very much for that work and that dedication. That's great. One of our members, Mats, is a coach for dancers, and he has a nice phrase that he uses. I don't teach people how to dance. I teach them how to be dancers. Uh, and
I love it.
it's not the same, you know. So
Mhm.
yeah, excellent. Okay, well, that's great. So wherever this appears, there'll be a profile about you and links to your various activities. So thank you for that. Excellent. Now we're going to dive in now. I need to place you somewhere in the world for this to happen. And please be aware that I have a magic wand and a time machine for the
Okay.
duration of this. Okay. What's your favorite building?
My favorite building is probably the building in Spoleto, Italy, La Mama Umbria International.
Right. Now, you might have to help me with some spelling here. So, La Mama, is it M-O-M-A?
No, it's L-A, excuse me, L-A space M-A-M-A, capital
And it's
M-A-M-A.
in,
La Mama Umbria, Umbria International is this artist residence in Spoleto, Spoleto, Italy, which is and right in the center of Italy. It's a 700-year-old stone structure that has been converted into a residence for artists. An
There we go.
extraordinary place.
I think I found it.
That looks like it on the upper left. Oh yeah. Oh no, there it is. It's all those pictures. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
us. Oh yeah, here we are.
there
Wow.
you are.
I'm actually in some of those pictures.
Oh, that's great. Fantastic. Okay, so now there's a little cafe here, or a dining area. I'd like
Hmm.
you to assume that you're there.
Okay.
It's 6 p.m. in June. The sun is shining, and
Hmm.
there is a drink to your left. What would I find there?
Oh, an Aperol Spritz.
Aperol Spritz. Lovely. And a book. There's a book you've been reading. Now, it could be your favorite book. It could be a book
Uh-huh.
that's been with you all your life, or a recent discovery. What book would I find next to you?
Oh my. Wow. There's so many books to choose from. Um, One book that has been sort of been with me for many years is as a novel. It's called The Man Who Fell in Love with the Moon.
Nice. Let's find that for everyone quickly. The man who
Fell in Love with the Moon by Tom Spanbauer.
got it. Yeah. Here it is. Where are we? Let's just show everyone uh, your book. There we go. There it is. The Man Who Fell in
Mhm.
Love with the Moon. Tom Spanbauer. Excellent.
I'm sure nobody's ever heard of it, but that's
Well,
okay.
I love doing these calls because I get a whole list of things to discover from the full members who I interview. So that's going to go on my reading list at your recommendation. Excellent. Now you're feeling quite pleased with yourself because you've just come from a meeting with a wealthy Italian family foundation who are
Mm,
aware of the great work that you do there in Umbria. Um, and they would like to hire you for a year.
mm,
And they'd like you to travel the world
mm.
and do a research trip on um, on the best acting retreats and around the world. Okay, it's very well paid. Everything in your professional and personal life is being sorted out. Um, there will be a TED talk in it. There will be a book deal, a TV series, and a global university lecture tour. How does that sound?
Sounds fantastic.
There we
Thank you
go.
so much for providing all of that.
All you have to do is to decide where you're going to start.
I think, excuse me, I would start where I am in Italy, and there are a number of wonderful retreats spaces all around Italy. But I would go through Europe and South America, Africa, um, and all over the world because I
Yeah.
already know artists and have relationships on practically every continent and in many cities. So I would start with there, and I would have an amazing trip. I can't wait.
What's okay? So, what's your first trip? Because you've got all sorts of access to transport. Because I'm waving a magic wand, you see. So you can start by leaving Umbria and going somewhere else. Where's your first stop off? Which city and which country would you go
I
to
think
first?
I would go to Avignon in France
Okay, you're
on
there
my private plane. Yeah,
in your private plane. Yeah. Let's find you a house to live in.
I'd probably go during the Avignon Festival, one of the great international arts festivals.
You can do that. The magic wand and the time machine are here. Um, right, I'm going to find you a home. Um,
Great.
there we go. These are some lovely looking homes in Avignon. Are you a traditionalist or do you like a bit of modern?
I like the traditional. Yeah, I like old structures.
Yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
that's nice. That looks pretty lovely. That's looks attractive as well.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
that's where we're going to put you. You're there. You have this whole block here. Okay.
Great. Okay.
Um, now you've been welcomed there by some theatre and acting professionals at the airport. They've shown you to your new home and they've said, right, relax, unpack, um, and get settled in. We're going to take you out to a dance performance and then out to dinner. Now,
Mm.
this is where the magic wand and the time machine come in, because I can take you to any dance performance,
Oh my.
historical, with any dancers, living or not, any dance group, any dance style in any part of the world. We can jump on the jet. So, and you can travel back in time if you wish. What would you want
Uh,
to see on that stage?
I would probably want to see Nureyev and Carla Fracci dancing Don Quixote.
Beautiful. Love it. Excellent. That's the 2 hour show.
Okay.
Um, and what about dinner afterwards? You get to choose the national cuisine.
Well, since I'm in Avignon, French.
Okay, French it is. Excellent. Now we're going to do another hop to another similarly beautiful home in a different city and country. Where are we going?
I think we'll go to Bogota, Colombia. And yeah, there's a lot of wonderful artists and theater there. So I always wanted to check it out. I've never been.
Fantastic. And that's in Colombia, isn't it?
Colombia. Yeah.
Colombia. Okay, it's Saturday. It's sport day in Colombia. With break dancing and ice dancing in the Olympics. Um, you can it's conceivable that sport could be considered performance art. So
Absolutely.
you can again, time machine, magic wand. What sporting event would you like to watch?
Mm, what sporting event? I guess guess I don't want to take up too much time trying to think about it. Um, I guess maybe figure skating.
Figure skating.
Yeah,
Nice.
I
Yeah.
like that when I'm at the Olympics or watching the
Yeah.
Olympics.
I can't watch hockey because I can't see the puck. It's too fast. It might be easier on up close, but on television I often struggle. Excellent. Okay. Now we're going to hop again. Where are we going?
Mhm. I think we should go to um, uh, Seoul, Korea.
Seoul in Korea. Excellent. Okay. So in Seoul, there is a new digitally enhanced art gallery.
Mhm.
And you can wear a virtual reality headset and step into the work of any famous artist. It becomes three-dimensional, 360 degrees, sometimes animated, and you can walk around in this picture. Whose whose work would you want to explore in that way?
Mm. Um, so it's not not somebody who already does that kind of
No,
visual work.
no,
It could be
any any
anybody.
anybody, yeah. So they've painted it in 2 dimensions. You get to explore it in three.
Um, I guess Basquiat.
Ooh, nice choice. How am I spelling this? Yeah, again.
Basquiat.
Yeah, of course. There we go. Let's have a look.
Oh, very
Jean-Michel
Jean-Michel
Basquiat.
Basquiat. Yes.
Okay, let's have a look. Let's show everyone what you're
So
going
of
to.
course
What it's going to be a
it's
fun.
abstract.
Yeah, that's
So
going to
it
be
could be,
that's going to be a trip.
yeah, I think that would be super fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. Fantastic. Excellent. There we go. Um, now, I've flown. Now let's jump again. Where are we going
Mhm.
now?
Let's see, where should we go? I think I'd like to go to Mm, somewhere in Kenya. What's the
And we could
main
have
city? Uh,
Nairobi or Mombasa on the coast.
I think Nairobi.
Nairobi, I think that's the capital, isn't it?
Mm,
Yeah, excellent. Now we're on the plane,
hmm.
and I'm coming with you. And um,
Great.
but I've challenged you to spend the rest of the year when you do all this further work, listening to only one specific genre of music. If you were forced to do that for 12 months, one very specific genre of music to the exclusion of all else, what would you choose?
Oh God, I would probably choose um, just one genre. Um, I guess uh, Broadway cast albums.
Nice. I've got Dear Evan Hansen on repeat for my granddaughter in the car at the moment. Uh, have you seen the Wicked movie, the new Wicked movie?
Yes, I have. Yeah,
It's only just opened here, so was it good?
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get to it next week during the week when it's not too busy. Excellent. Okay, so I'm with you, and we're going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're going to do something artistic or cultural every evening together.
Hmm.
On Monday, it's a historical pop or rock concert.
Hmm.
On Tuesday is a theatre play. On
Hmm.
Wednesday is a Broadway or West End musical.
Hmm.
Thursday is opera, and Friday is cinema. So, and you get to choose. And don't forget, we have a time machine and a magic wand. So, a historic pop or rock concert.
It would be the Beatles, first American tour, something like that.
Yeah, they played the Shea Stadium, didn't they? But the
Shea
sound,
Stadium.
you couldn't hear them because all the girls were screaming and the speakers weren't loud enough. Okay, we'll have a really good. We'll go to one of the
Some kind of Beatles concert, yeah,
yeah,
where I,
yeah. Okay, done. Theatre play. I know I'm looking forward to this choice.
yeah. Oh my goodness, there are so many wonderful. I guess yeah, it's so hard to pick one theater play. So let me just um I'd say probably would be Gielgud doing something Shakespeare, but I'm not sure which one.
Lear or Hamlet.
Something that I've never seen, so I'd want to see that.
Okay. And we might hop to the Globe in theatre in London for that. There we go.
Perfect.
Excellent. What about a West End or Broadway musical? And don't forget, you can travel back in time.
Yeah. Um, I think I would be at the opening night performance of Funny Girl on Broadway with Streisand.
Nice choice. Love it. Excellent. And what about an opera?
Um, my favorite opera. I guess I think I haven't seen in a while like Carmen, so maybe I'd go see Carmen.
Nice. Excellent. We could hop to Seville for that. That would be good fun.
Perfect.
Um, and finally for the week, a film. We're in an IMAX theatre, lots of wonderful, huge screen. We're in the best seats, wonderful sound. And now for this one, I'd like you to choose a film that you love that I probably haven't seen.
Oh. Ah, film I love that you probably haven't seen. All the films I could think of off the top of my head, I'm sure you've seen.
Well,
But let me something you haven't seen. Have you seen All About Eve?
no, actually, I know
That's a
of
good
it.
one.
I think I've caught bits of it, but I don't think I've 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 seen it properly. Well, certainly not on the big.
Well,
Nice
I'd love
choice.
to introduce you to that movie.
That's and who's in that again? It's
Betty
Billy
Davis, Ann
Davis.
Baxter,
Yeah,
Marilyn Monroe.
fantastic. Love that. Excellent. Now we're nearly there, and then I'm going to go and let
Okay.
you travel the rest of the world and do endless research. But I'm going to give you a hero lunch. So one more hop, please. Where did we get to? We were in we were in
Seoul, Korea.
Seoul, Korea. Yeah, one more hop.
So let's go to let's see, we go to Africa, Asia. Maybe let's go to Toronto.
Toronto. Nice. Well, I found a lovely restaurant for you in Toronto, and I've booked it for a 2 hour leisurely lunch. And you can invite any single person to join you for lunch, living or not, famous or otherwise. Who would you choose?
I guess I'd like to have lunch with Oscar Wilde.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
It would be a laugh.
It would be a laugh. Now, in a slight twist to that question, who do you think
Mm.
Oscar Wilde would choose?
Um, if he could travel in time and pick somebody not of his
Yeah,
uh maybe uh who would Oscar Wilde pick that lunch with? Maybe I'm sorry, it's taking me a
that's all
while to
right.
think of somebody.
Well, it's a tricky question.
Yeah, I would think it would be somebody like hmm, people's names I think of and then they fly out of my mind. It's
Yeah,
hard for me to remember names these days. Um,
I have a feeling he would. Can I suggest somebody? Then we can add to it if you wish. I think he'd probably enjoy meeting Charles Dickens.
that's great. I think that would be terrific. Yeah.
Yeah, because they weren't contemporary, were they? I don't think. I think Charles Dickens was before. I don't think they will have ever overlapped or met. So, but given the wonderful environments and scenarios that he created, I think I think you'd enjoy that. Excellent.
Or
Uh,
maybe Somerset Mom would be another good possibility.
yeah, that would. Great.
Okay.
Now, there we go. I've flown home, and the book deal's done. Um, your your global university lecture tour has been booked. The TED Talk is planned. Book deal's done. Everything's fine. There we go. A beautifully researched book on the wonderful destinations for theatre and drama and acting retreats all over the world. There we go. Now, the
Amazing.
the limitation to your musical listening of it being musical soundtracks has been lifted now. So,
Mhm.
what piece of music that you hadn't heard for 12 months that's not musical theatre would you want to listen to first?
Um, what musical that musical theater that I'd like to listen to. Well, it would have to be, it would probably be something in the jazz arena. Um, maybe Billie Holiday.
Nice. Yeah, lovely. There you go, David. That's your fantasy cultural year complete. As expected, it brought out surprises and
Yeah.
detours, which is great. Thank you so much for joining me today to do that. Thanks again for being one of our full members. Don't rush off, but for the time being, um, thank you so much for
Oh,
being a.
you're welcome. This has been a lot of fun.
I'm pleased. Thanks, David.
Thanks.